Hi everyone, welcome back to Student Pages Spotlight series. I'm your host Izzy, and today I'm so excited to be joined by the incredible Kieran Bew. Thank you so much for joining me today, and how are you doing?
It's a pleasure. Thank you. I'm all right. I'm just prepping a new job, but it's always exciting.
Well, I'll kick it off by saying that you are back starring as Hugh Hammer in HBO Max highly anticipated new season 3 of House of the Dragon. Such an incredible achievement. How do you feel to be back in this role? And do you feel like you were made for this role? Do you feel like there are any similarities between yourself and Hugh?
I am delighted to be back playing Hugh Hammer, and the cast and the crew and the team are just a dream, really. I think one of my favourite things about the job is the read-throughs we do at the very beginning. Everybody's, you know, coming into the room to read scripts we've only just got. We're huge fans of the material and the show, obviously Game of Thrones and the books, and when we get together, it is like a party, and then you get new cast joining as well, and the new cast, some of us know them, but we don't know that they're joining. So there is a real air of excitement all the time, and then at work, it's such a big machine. This job that there's two or three or four sets running all the time, so you never know who you're going to see or not see. So it's a total privilege, and I feel incredibly lucky. And Hugh Hammer, do I feel like I was born to play him? I feel like I'm very lucky that the parts I've played in my career on stage and TV have had lots of different elements that I recognise are required for Hugh. And of course, the show Hugh that I'm playing and that I get revealed to me as the scripts come to me is different to the Hugh that I can go out and read like everyone else in the book and digest and kind of get excited about, because for me there's a discovery there of, right, what are we doing in the show? How does that compare to the book? How do I digest that? And of course, as actors, we sort of shapeshift ourselves, hopefully, and pull out aspects of our own character that suit the part. And the way Hugh's framed in the show, it's helpful that I'm a dad. It's helpful that I'm in a marriage for him in particular. One of the reasons I feel so lucky is that in Britain alone, we have such a deep pool of excellent talent and excellent actors, many of whom I'm lucky enough to have trained with at Lambda, either in my year, I had a really great year at Lambda. I spent 3 years training there. So when you go and you see the talent that people have, and everyone in the year always does something that you think, God, that's incredible.
Mm.
And then there's a year above you, and there's a year below you, and there's another year below you, and and then after you're in the business a while, you realize you're in a casting bracket that's broad. It's not just 10 years worth of people, it's 20 years of actors above and below you that you're auditioning with. I'm delighted whenever I get a job because I can't believe I get to do the job. So when I audition for Hugh Hammer and it says that he's this tall and he's this big and he's this formidable, and you think, okay, I've got to pour myself into this, you do start thinking about the limitations that you bring as a character and an actor, but also I've seen plenty of other actors like Mark Rylance and people over the years, people I admire, who are maybe diminutive or shorter or not what they, make themselves look like giants and make and have the ability to transform and sell an illusion. And really, that's what we do. We sell an illusion. So yes, I was born to play him, but also I know I'm very well aware that there is a huge roster of talent in our country waiting to step in. So I don't take it for granted at all.
Mm. Well, you play him excellently, I must say. It's incredible to watch you on
Thank you.
screen every time. And so you are the Dragon Rider of Vermithor. I bet that is one of the most cool experiences to be able to say that you're playing this character. And as you've said, you were already familiar with the franchise, with everything, with the books. So what did it feel like when you got this call to let you know that you were taking on this role as a Dragon Rider?
Anything, if anybody does an adrenaline sport like surfing or jumping out of a plane, or even if you just like roller coasters and what, like getting a call where you're going to get to do something that it's a big adrenaline rush all in one go.
Hmm.
And I get really attached when I get an audition. I get as soon as I get the sides through and I start looking at the text, I start working and I start
Mm.
imagining, and that comes with a whole load of drugs that your body releases, and you're working on it. And I get addicted to that kind of work and that kind of scrutinizing of a text. So that's one thing. But then the idea that you're going to get to ride the angriest dragon in the whole of the Game of Thrones universe is just it's ridiculous. It's like it's so stupid. The job at best, you sort of go to work and feel childlike. Like you're in awe of kind of what you get to do. And we do get to do fun things, whether you're a cowboy or a spaceman or a doctor or whatever you're doing at work. It's always fun. But to get to play like sort of a dragon rider, to ride a dragon is insane.
Mhm.
And I think Vermithor is the coolest dragon. I think he's phenomenally misunderstood.
Mhm.
And it was a really exciting sequence to work on. It was a sort of when we talked about the sequence, we talked about loads of movie references that get us excited when we're shooting, things like Alien and Aliens and the light and the dark and the threat of something that's so terrifyingly formidable. And movies like The Revenant, where you've got to like come up against a bear, or you've got to endure something that's the peak of sort of the extreme of human fear. What are you going to do if you're standing in front of something that can burn you to a crisp or squash you?
Mhm.
And all of that detail goes into the building of that sequence as well. So immediately was thinking about bonding with Vermithor, like that,
Mhm.
because watching Game of Thrones and seeing Daenerys or Jon Snow or whoever interacting with the dragons, those sequences are done so well. And we're so used to this language now, right? I mean, I think it was 1993 that Jurassic Park came out, and
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
was 12. And we've seen people interacting with creatures of this size, and we believe it. We buy into it. You absolutely do. So I knew that I knew the creature was going to be incredible. I knew the VFX team were going to make it really delicate and really massive and huge. So you've really got to think about your side of it, and how delicate you can be as a human being. Because at the end of the day, if you as a viewer don't if you don't relate to the person, the human being, again, we're so used to CGI. We're so used to the ability now. We almost take it for granted, like, oh, that's not good enough. There's
Mhm.
so much of it now. The characters we play, the people we play, they've got to be living and breathing and relatable, even if you don't like the person,
Mhm.
for it to really matter to us as a viewer. So I, any little bit of screen time we get, I always think about how is this going to connect with the person watching,
Mhm.
and how can that insane adrenaline rush when they say you're going to get to ride Vermithor, how can I get that insane adrenaline rush distilled into a moment that people feel it on the other side? I mean, I've just watched episode 7 literally last night. I'm a bit late.
I watched it last night as well.
And the moment at the end when Ulf says they're going to burn to almost, I mean, I wanted to cheer and scream and jump up and down. And like, because you see, I mean, for instance, that episode 7, I'm not in that episode actually. So I
Mhm.
hadn't gone through that script and scrutinized it. Like part of the beauty of being in the show is I also get to be a fan. And Tom is my
Mhm.
friend. Tom
Mhm.
is my friend, my colleague, kind of a partner in the show. And I watched it and I was so excited. I was just so brilliantly done. Yeah. Sorry, that's a long answer, but
No, 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 don't worry. I'm all here for long answers. And so I was gonna say as well, you talk about having to kind of take the adrenaline that you feel and take the excitement that you feel and try and translate that through the screen. But obviously, unfortunately, or actually maybe that's for the better, but unfortunately there isn't a live dragon in front of you. So
no.
how does it differ on set, and does it make it difficult at all, or do you feel like you can still kind of get lost in this world when you're filming? How does it change the filming process, obviously having to work with a rig and everything else, as opposed to being able to visually see what you're interacting with?
Well, In all honesty, it's no different to any other acting that you do. Like from right from the minute I went to drama school, I was in room three at drama school, and we're imagining something in front of us, and you're creating an illusion for the audience, whether it's
Mm.
your teacher or your peers or an audience of 300, 1,000 people in the theatre. You have to do the job to create the sensation, the feeling. My very first job I did in 2001, I left drama school early and I played Hans Christian Andersen for Hallmark. And there was loads of green screen, tons of green
Mm.
screen right away. And I was playing Hans Christian Andersen telling fairy tales to kids. Now, kids can't work as long hours as adults. And there were lots of times when I wasn't talking to a child, I was talking to a tennis ball on a stick with a smiley face drawn on it. Um, and some of the most emotional scenes I've done in 26 years worth of work, how with a partner, with a wife, or in a very tender moment, I can't see the other actor because the camera angle they're choosing means I'm staring at the matte box. I'm staring at a piece of plastic in front of me. So there are moments where you see lots of actors where they are seemingly in it, connected, and present, and going through something that looks completely organic, and they're just staring at a piece of black plastic. Sometimes you can't even focus on the black plastic because everything around it is so black. You're just staring at an area.
Mm.
So it's not just the sequences where we have creatures that we have to do the imagining. It's everyday work actually,
Mm.
and people don't normally talk about that because the process of filming, especially like Christopher Nolan's done the Odyssey with these
Mm.
IMAX cameras, and he's talking quite a lot about rigging up this system so they can see their reflection, so it doesn't
Mhm.
look like their eye line is off. Our job is all eye lines. The
Yeah.
technical aspect of the job is something really you kind of learn on the job. And because you have to, you can't really, you can do a bit of it in drama school. You can do a bit of it. I mean, now more than ever, it's cheaper to practice because we have so many cameras.
Mhm.
But imagining Vermithor in many ways is quite easy. We have two or three, four people in blue suits, which are carrying often a dragon head on a very large pole that has my dragon, because he's so big, he has huge sticks coming off the blue thing they hold with tennis balls on the end for his eyes. So I can, it really looks like I'm looking in his eyes when you see I'm focusing in the right area. And his breath is done with a wind, a leaf blower or many leaf blowers. Um, and we were, in many ways, the guys are puppeteers. They are puppeteers. The director, whether it's Claire or Lonnie or whoever, we have an amazing roster of directors who I'm, huge fans of all their work. So they are part of the puppeteering team in terms of the breath, and we kind of choreograph that. So I'll offer up an idea, and we will all work together to try to make that sync. But I also know that in the end, the rest of the puppeteering team, the VFX guys, come in and put the texture and the detail, and after that too. So in many ways, so much of that heavy lifting is done for me. I have to take care of my part of the puppeteering, which is really me. I have to puppeteer me,
Mm.
and just and again, that comes back to like scrutinizing and contemplating what is going to be relatable for a person sitting on a couch or a cinema. And often I find the most relatable thing is the most human thing. So Hugh standing in front of Vermithor, okay, so he's got to show courage. He's got to show, in my mind, that in that scene, he missed his opportunity. When Silver Denny steps forward and gets his face burned off, Hugh is upset with himself that he's hesitated because you see, if Silver Denny's had Bluetooth to Vermithor, he's dead. If Silver Denny's Bluetooth to Vermithor, as it were, that's one less dragon for him to connect to.
Mm.
So by the time he eventually stands in front of Vermithor, he's either going to be eaten, burned alive, or stomped on, or it's going to work. And then you've got a choice. Do you puff yourself up and stand strong and hide your courage? I remember I used to dog walk when between my jobs. acting jobs. I used to dog walk in Battersea Park and meet a lot of dogs from the Battersea Park charity and talk to the dog handlers.
Mm,
And they would say, things like the dogs can feel your temperament, the dogs can feel what you're thinking and what you're feeling. And if you're nervous, the dog will be nervous. And if you're angry, the dog will be angry.
mhm,
And so how do you hide your emotions from a giant beast that can burn you or bite you? How do you hide from something that you're afraid frightened when you don't want it to think you're frightened?
mhm.
So I thought I'll make myself as big as possible. I thought, what do the UFC fighters do? Like, what do people who are incredibly cocky, like Conor McGregor, on people? What do they do when they have to face off against each other in the pantomime of what they do? What do they physically do to hide if they have any doubt? And what do they do physically with their bodies? So, like, a moment like that, the amount of scrutiny and thought and kind of contemplation you can put into it, that is
Mhm.
all that is about. Is it going to make the person watching it feel like that could be them and think, oh, I wish I'd done that. Or why didn't he do this? Sometimes it's good to frustrate people and not do what you think. And for me, that's the joy of the job is so they make it as easy as it could possibly be for us to imagine these things. And the rest is just how much detail do you want to go into?
Mm. And I think it's incredible that with such a big set, you can put that much trust into everyone around you, and you know that you can just solely focus on what you need to get done and what you need to do in that moment.
Yeah.
And we kind of said earlier as well that it's easier for you, especially with Hugh,
Mm.
being able, as you were able to relate to him with your family of your own, obviously how that must have helped you get into this character. And we see him start out kind of as this desperate blacksmith who's trying to feed his sick daughter to then becoming a dragon rider. It's such an incredible story. But then in episode 6, we see Hugh reunite with his wife Kat, and we start to really see the effect that this change has had on his character. So at what point in filming did it stop feeling like a bit of a rags to power story and begin to actually start feeling maybe more of a tragic story?
Well, in truth, it kind of felt tragic right from the beginning because they're not only living in a famine, but his daughter is sick, and he's they are in a stressful situation. So the pressure was really already on him, and it's not really a rags to rich in as much as it's a reluctant revelation that he
Mm,
is revealing who he is and who he's hidden for all these years. So when you meet him, he's trying to live an honorable life. He's trying to live in a way that he feels happy with for himself. He's trying to do a job, look after his family in a way that doesn't involve being a Targaryen. It doesn't involve a connection to his mother, who he is ashamed of, who he has a lot of pain around, and a lot of pain around the idea that he doesn't fit into the aristocracy. And that's a funny thing. So that was revealed to me in the text that the writers gave me, that he's chosen never to talk about this with his wife in
mm,
the however many long years they've been together and they've been striving. He's never said, I'm going to go to the family for money. I'm going to go, by the way, my mum is this person and she lives over there and she's really rich, but I'm sorry, but she runs a load of whorehouses and she kind of like fucked up the family. And, he doesn't talk about any of that.
mm,
He hides that. He pushes that away. He's trying to do something different. In effect, he's not really living in an honest way. He's trying to live honestly, but he's not really being honest. That's the scene where he's imploring his wife before he says, he's going to go and try and tame Vermithor. I felt like he was really asking for permission from his wife. He was
mm,
trying to say, look, I need your blessing to do this because actually, if I do this and it works, it's going to mean this wonderful thing. But if it doesn't work, I'm not going to get to come back. And she won't give him that blessing. So, it's funny playing a part where because all this has happened and the bits you get to see. I love doing the scene with Elora. Elora and I have known each other for like over 10 years. We did a show called Beowulf together many, many years ago.
mm,
And I knew, I know what an amazing actress she is and what she brings to it. And This reuniting scene, it's a different side of Hugh that you don't get to see because quite often you've seen me either towing the line, playing the dutiful dragon rider, part of the army, keeping my mouth shut, not really showing his hand or his cards or showing anybody who he is.
Mm.
And there's a little bit in that scene where you actually get to see, oh, he's he's not just a yes man. He's not just the guy that is going to be dutiful all the time. He has this is the thing he's been wanting the entire time, which is security for his wife, and it's the thing that being a dragon rider has denied him. He's not been able to fly off. He's not been able to go on the ground hunting, and he's just decided, okay, fine, I'm
Mhm.
gonna find some way of getting into Tumbleton, and I'm gonna go and try and track her down. And it was lovely. It was lovely to be able to get to actually show the audience more of who he really is. And actually, in the scene, he's clumsy. I like to think he's probably really tired. His daughter died. He's grieving. He's left his wife. He's in this
Mhm.
crazy circus. He's got to hang around with Ulf all the time. He's pushing everyone's buttons constantly, and he's constantly watching it all, going, "Oh my God, this is going to spill over." But he's also really angry and desperate to get to Cat. So when he finally gets there, I always thought it was, it's quite a sort of possibly tone deaf response that she says, my brother died, and he says, but I've got a dragon. He's like,
Mhm.
does he even hear her? Does he even hear that she actually said? Does he even register that? Because actually, at that moment, anyone else doesn't really matter to him. It's just her. I've got to get
Mhm.
you out. No, what everyone else is probably going to die anyway. I've just got to get you out. And he's really not misjudged the situation, possibly, but I think he hasn't thought it's that far through. I think he thought she was going to say, "Thank God, let's go." So it's always felt a little bit tragic to me in that respect, and also exciting. Kat's denial of she does not get excited when he says who his mum is. She does not get excited when he says, "Look, I've got a really good chance. I know I'm going to go gambling. I know it's a really dangerous casino, but I've got stacked dice." Like honestly,
Yeah.
he's trying to sell it to her, and she's like, "No, I really know gambling. This is the gambling is. I don't want any gambling wins." Um, and I think he thought she was going to go with him, but no.
Mm. I think that that kind of reuniting scene that we got to see was, as you said, it was so nice to have this moment between the two characters, but also
Mm.
get to know a little bit about them more personally.
Yeah.
I felt that it was a really incredible scene and really allowed the audience to connect with Hugh and to connect with his wife. It was a
Yeah.
really well done scene, in my opinion. I really
Thank
enjoyed
you.
it. Yeah,
I've had
I
I've had
thoroughly enjoyed it.
I've had more reaction to that scene, I think, than I did even the Taming of Vermithor. Um, and it's been quite curious, really, to be honest. Like,
Mhm.
there's an awful
Mhm.
lot of men saying, "Well, you see, as a man, you can never please a woman." And then there seems to be a lot of women saying, "Hang on, are you missing the detail in what she said?
Yeah.
Like, what actually happened to her?" And there just seemed to be a difference of opinion or a disconnect. And I just maybe people could watch it again, and maybe
Mhm.
that's a good thing. And this is the other thing about when we play characters, you know. Um, Someone said to me that good TV writing, you should never say what you mean or mean what you say. So there should always be subtext. Because in
Mhm.
life, people don't necessarily always say what they mean.
Mhm.
They're afraid of saying what they really mean. They say
Mhm.
something else. So the subtext is very heavy and large. And in these scenes where people are seemingly saying what they mean, people are often very clumsy. And then in hindsight, go, I didn't really mean that. I'm sorry. No, what? No, it came out clumsily. So what I
Mhm.
mean is, you know, but in the heat of the moment, it creates more drama.
Mhm.
And I definitely feel that Ilora and I both felt like that about the scene. Like, hang on, there's a different way of doing this scene. They could say different things. We could try, and there was a really good, like both of us wanted to try and I think fix the relationship. Like,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
we did, and I got to say, we when we did the rehearsals, particularly, Elora was phenomenal because she did this like really beautiful, like natural. reaction where she just totally fell apart. And like, I've known her for a long time, and I
Mm-hmm.
knew what the scene was. But as I approached her, I didn't expect her to just completely fall apart. And
Mm-hmm.
it kind of guided the scene, and it was really that is an amazing thing when you find something really natural on set and then you film it for 6 hours, and
Mm-hmm.
you've got to find that natural thing. I mean, that's our job. You know, that's what's fun about the job as well is dancing around this thing, this spontaneous moments, and find the truth in them again and again and again. So it was a real pleasure, and yeah, she's amazing to work with.
And I think perhaps that level of vulnerability that we see with your characters in that scene is,
Mhm.
like you said, people are resonating with it. Many
Mm.
people are resonating with it for different reasons.
Yeah,
And I feel
yeah.
like there's that level of relatability, even in this universe where there's dragons and
Yeah.
everything's going, and it's all it's crazy and it's insane.
I
People find that
honestly,
way to relate.
I think it's hilarious. I've seen so many memes of it as well. You know, when we were doing the the Taming of Vermithor, when I scream at Vermithor,
Mm,
that was a thing on set where it wasn't quite supposed to be as big as that. And I said to Ryan and David and the guys, you know, can I just scream in his face? Lonnie and I were talking about it, and he went, we'll have to talk to the guys. So we got David and Ryan over, and they were like, we'd shot one and we were watching playback, and Ryan turned to me and goes, you know, this is going to be a meme, right? And I was like, I don't know. I don't really know what gets to be a meme, what doesn't. But yes, I mean, it's a nice moment. It certainly felt genuine to me and something that you know people would do to have done the scene and then get sent so many memes by people of like you bring home a Cybertruck and your wife's really angry and like all this like really funny, really funny stuff. I mean, you know, a scene or a show getting that much kind of scrutiny, you know, you should be so lucky, you know.
Mm,
I love
hmm
how passionate the fans are. I
hmm
mean, on both sides of the coin, it can be quite brutal at times, but
mm.
people really care about the story, both book and show, and I think that's a good thing.
Definitely, there's a very loyal fan base surrounding this entire franchise for sure.
You
That is
know,
one thing.
but you know what? I've had this before in the theatre when we've done adaptations of the classics. So when you do, you know, mostly now when you do a version of a Shakespeare play, you don't do a traditional
Hmm
Elizabethan Shakespeare play. It's always a modern adaptation or this or that. And Shakespeare wrote, you know, there's the quarto, the folio, and there's debate about bits that he wrote and didn't write and all that. And so when you do the play is also a cut. So they cut the play. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you'll do a play and they'll say, hang on, you missed out that bit of the sonnet, or you missed that scene in King Lear when this happens. And
hmm
people have always got a very strong opinion, and or they'll
Yeah.
say this modern setting doesn't work. And when we do Q&As in the theatre, I've experienced it before where people have been quite brutal, saying, your character made a joke then. He shouldn't make a joke then because
Mm-hmm.
he was dying." I said, well, he lives with sarcastic humor his entire life, so maybe it's appropriate that he hides his feelings with a joke. And then people say, no, you're wrong. I said, okay, okay. Well, I'll do it every night, and maybe you come back tomorrow and you can watch it again. I mean, people have ownership over their experience of how they digest art, and then it's very important to them. And what I always find interesting about poetry is at different times in your life when you read it again, you find something in it else that you didn't think was there. And including the work that we do, like as an actor, I'll film something and we do so much that doesn't make it to the screen. We do so many takes and we do so many versions of things that you don't see.
hmm
And often when we watch the show, we think, oh no, why did they use that take?
Yeah.
I did one that was way better than that. And you can have an opinion of a show that you've done, and then 5 years or 10 years later, you watch it again and go, oh, that was really good. That was actually really good. I just spent 5 or 10 years thinking I was rubbish in that, and I made the wrong choices. And
Mm,
you watch and think, why have I held this negative opinion of the thing I did, the thing I
mm,
cared so much about? And you watch and go, oh, that was a strange. But it's because things change as we change. So
mhm,
that's
mhm.
hopefully the best kind of art has that resonance, and you know, who knows?
100%. I completely agree. And I know we've touched a little bit already on some of the other work that you've been in and your other experiences and how you kind of got into the industry.
Yeah.
But you've had an incredible, like you've been in, you've had credits in so many different things. I
Mm.
mean, Outlander, Doctor
Mhm.
Who, Warrior, that's just to name a couple.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering if you could give us maybe a little bit of background. I know you said you were at Lambda and all these
Yeah.
things, but is there any background that you can give us on how you got into the industry, or perhaps any advice for students or young people that
Yeah.
are looking to make it into this industry?
I come from a little working class town in the northeast of England called Hartlepool. And all my life I was a sportsman. My family did sport. And it was a big commitment for my parents.
Hmm.
Not just the nights of training, but the competing on the weekends. I was a swimmer and a fencer and basketball, and I'm one of five kids. So my family we were very lucky to have parents. And as a parent now, I realize quite how much of a commitment that was. So
Hmm.
when I said to my dad I wanted to go to drama school and there were fees involved, that it was going to cost money, I remember my dad saying, how are we how on earth are we going to pay for that? And I
Hmm.
think that was one of the very first, and that's not my dad being resistant. That was my dad just being honest and real. And
Hmm.
maybe he wouldn't have said that to me again, but there's a moment there where I could have said, "Yeah, oh no, you're right, Dad," and just left it. And after 26 years being in the business, I realized that if you want to be an actor, you have to persevere.
Hmm.
And there'll be so many moments where you want to give up and you want to pack it in, or you don't want to pursue it because it is hard, it is not honorable, things don't happen logically.
Hmm.
So what you have is you have to have you have to have your own sense of self and your sense of you've got to know why you want to do it.
Hmm.
It's not a job to do to get famous and make money. If you really love acting, if you really love it doesn't have to be pretentious. If you love doing silly voices and dressing up and making people laugh, that's enough. That's great. That's the best possible one because at the end of the day, acting is playful and it's imitative and it's generous. It's not about you, it's about other people, actually. But what I would say is I applied for Lambda on the last possible day I could have. I couldn't apply to Guildhall or Central. These are the drama schools in Britain because I was too late. The only drama schools I could apply to were RADA and Lambda, and I auditioned for both, and I was lucky enough to get into Lambda. And immediately, we couldn't afford for me to go. And I couldn't get any money from my local education authority because they needed a grant from the lottery to access their fund. It was like, we can't give money unless you get money. And
Hmm.
again, more stumbling blocks that are very practical and very real for a lot of people.
Hmm.
And I went anyway. My mum and dad said, go for the first term, we'll work out how to pay for the rest, just go. So I went to London and I started at drama school and I auditioned for grants that the school put me up for. And I worked. I worked at Lambda. I used to do all sorts of jobs. We used to fix things at the school. We used to wash the walls. We used to work on the bar. They had a whole armory of weapons, and I was a fencer as a kid, so I was used to fixing swords and things. So I used to fix things in the armory. We used to count lines in plays because when they distribute the plays, when you're there at drama school, they want to evenly distribute characters. The way they did that was plays. So they'd give me a stack of plays, and you'd have a calculator, and you'd have to write down the character names, and you have to count how many lines each character had, so they knew they were giving the students an equal distribution of lines in a play. What
Hmm.
that meant was I had a stack of plays that I got to look at, and
Yeah.
and actually the working at Lambda meant I was in Lambda. I was just there all the time. And
Hmm.
then I got work choreographing fights for some of the plays. And then I got a job choreographing the fights at the Globe for Mark Rylance for his Hamlet. And Mark Rylance let me sit and watch him rehearse Hamlet. And I was 19. But I got that
Wow.
job because I needed to work to pay for the drama school that I couldn't pay for because I'd been competing doing fencing before that. So like everything kind of like worked out. But what I look back on and recognize is like there's lots of moments where you could stop.
Hmm.
And I've had conversations with people along over the 26 years I've professionally done it, it's 29, including drama school, like where you can get really distracted with the pollution of the business. whether or not you've got, and now it's even worse because it's if you're on social media, have you got enough followers? Do people care? The pollution of how much money, um, how much money a job might have, or of all that stuff doesn't matter. What matters is why do you want to do it? And do it because you love it and for the things you love. Again, if you love the thing you do, if you love it and you care, then people will gravitate towards that. You will find work, you will find joy in the job, but there will be a lot of disappointment. Even when I left it early. I got a job in my third year playing the lead in two films for Hallmark, playing Hans Christian Andersen, and I left drama school. I didn't graduate, didn't do my final term, and I went to Berlin to play Hans Christian Andersen in a with a cast of people who I'd watched growing up on the TV as a kid, and I felt totally overwhelmed. And then I got back, and I don't think I worked for like at least 8 months, and I was auditioning, and I had masses of time out of work between jobs, and I worked on building sites, I worked in pubs, I was a nanny, I dog walked, I did almost everything else. But all the
Mm,
while I was doing it, I was, you know, trying to consume plays and culture and hang in there. But you need to know why you really want to do it, and you've got to keep hold of that. And
mm,
you've got to stick together as well. If you've got other contemporaries, actors, you've got to look at, you do have, find people who you can confide in and look after each other because now more than ever, because it's become isolating. We used to go into rooms and meet casting directors,
mm,
producers, and have meetings, sometimes two or three for a job. Now more than ever, people are getting their mums, their girlfriends, their wives, their boyfriends, whoever is their most immediate person to them, and they do all their self-tapes with them, which actually
mhm.
puts quite a big burden on your relationship because you're like, oh, we've got to reconstruct the house now, darling, and put a camera up, and then you're going to have to read with me because if I don't, I'm not going to get to do the thing I love to do. And
Mm,
that is a different kind of demand, and it's also very isolating. You can
mhm,
spend a lot of time on your own when really what the job is about people connecting and being with human beings and having a human experience, not a digital experience. And when you film it, you're supposed to be selling a human experience, not a digital one. But you need to
mhm,
know how to craft it for that. And it's so don't end up isolated.
mm, mhm.
Spend time with human beings while you're doing it.
Yeah, I think, as you said, especially since COVID and everything becoming a lot more online. I mean, my friend, she's very much interacting, and I find it so much fun when I get to film self-tapes with her and help her out with stuff.
Right.
I love it. I love the behind the scenes of it all. But yeah, I think, as you said, you really don't get that. I noticed that she will often be like, "Oh, let me redo that. Let me do that." You can be
Yeah.
so self-critical in those
Yes.
circumstances and you
Mhm.
kind of lose that face-to-face human value.
Yeah.
But with that being said, you also mentioned your first job that you booked was very overwhelming, and
Yeah.
it can obviously be a very nerve-wracking industry. Did
Yeah.
you have any advice on how to maybe overcome some of these challenges or overcome these nerves when breaking into this kind of?
Well, nerves is completely normal. That's part of the
Mhm,
job. I'm sure there's a really good Jeff Bridges quote about nerves that we just use them and they
mhm,
don't necessarily go away. They're just familiar. Also, it's
mhm,
quite hard sometimes to differentiate between nerves, anxiety, and excitement.
mm,
It
mhm,
really is.
mm,
You think I'm nervous, like, and especially if I do a play and I'm rehearsing and you get to like 4 or 5 weeks of rehearsals, sometimes I start feeling like I really don't know what I'm doing. And what I need is the audience because I'm ready to get on the stage and just get on with it. Just, you use the nerves. The nerves are there to help you scrutinize. Don't try and get rid of them. Just breathe. Just learn to breathe. And I would say, in terms of physical health, nothing has helped me more than doing a little bit of basic yoga practice.
mm,
You can do a lot of yoga. There's a lot of different types of yoga and you can easily go to a class that will put you off. But as an actor with a long career, to look after yourself physically, but look after your breath.
Hmm.
in moments of auditioning and intense adrenaline. Because you can rehearse and rehearse, particularly if you're doing something like a fight, you can rehearse and rehearse. Then when you step on stage, you get extra adrenaline. And that
Hmm.
can at times make you unsafe, and your breath can suddenly feel like it eludes you, and you can get a tightness. And I think having a little bit of knowledge of breath and practicing in like a yoga in an hour, I'd say, like I said, I did a lot of sport. I was a fencer, I was a swimmer, I did basketball. At drama school, we did a thing called Alexander Technique, which teaches you about physical tension so that you don't strain your voice and you look after yourself physically on stage. But I would say we're very lucky. We've never been in a position before where almost everywhere there's somewhere that does a pretty decent basic yoga class.
Hmm.
And that use of your breath is going to really help ground you in those moments of excitement or nerves. But
Hmm.
just know you are not alone. Everybody feels it. And like Bill Nye and some of the people I've looked up to over the years have said things like, Bill said, the good thing about you, Kieran, is no one else has got your head. You are a one of one. That is your unique selling point. So don't worry that you think we all look the same, the people who go for the. I was going to say you all look the same in the room waiting to go in the casting. You won't sit in a room with people that all look like you anymore because it doesn't happen. But I mean, once in a blue moon. But like your unique selling point is that you are you and
Hmm.
your interpretation of the character will be yours. So enjoy that and own that. And also, something I do now, a lot of the auditions you do will be really, there might be really exciting characters that you would be desperate to play, but you probably won't get to do it. So the only time you're going to get to play the part is the audition.
Hmm.
So just do it for that. Just enjoy the audition and pour yourself into it and enjoy it for that moment and then let it go. Like an artist doing a sketch or a painting and then put it aside and then another one, put it aside, another one, put it aside. Just keep doing that for you and you feel it. There's this thing about bringing up kids that someone said, if a kid brings you the painting and you say to the kid, "Oh my God, I love it," that you're almost teaching the child to look for external validation.
Hmm.
Whereas if you say to the kid, "Wow, that's amazing. How does that make you feel?" You're
Hmm.
asking the child what their experience is. You're reinforcing their sense of self and helping them to develop a stronger sense of who they are and what they feel within the world, rather than needing to look out for other people to give feedback. And I think there's we would do well to remember that when we're making auditions or anything. Not to say we don't need feedback, but like we can get a little bit the balance can get out of sync. I mean,
Hmm.
also a little bit of ignorance can help sometimes. When I auditioned for Hans Christian Andersen, they said to me, "Could you do a fairy tale?" And I went through the script, and there wasn't a complete fairy tale, and I so it was quite panicky. I thought, I don't know what to do. Oh, they must want me to learn a whole fairy tale. So I went to Waterstones and I got Thumbelina, like a little ladybird book. So it was sort of 14 pages of the story, so it's a condensed version. And I made a piece of theatre. I learned it and I did all these like hand gestures for it because I thought what they want is they want to see Hans Christian Andersen.
Hmm.
So I didn't know how to audition. I'd heard this story that Mark Rylance, when he'd auditioned to play Hamlet at the RSC when he was very young, had done To Be or Not to Be, but he'd done it in Russian.
Wow.
And I thought, that's wild. Like,
Yeah.
well, I bet it was an amazing piece of theatre.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I saw in my mind, I was like, I want to be like Mark. I want to try and do
Mhm.
something that people go, "Whoa, that was," even if you don't get the job, like, God, that was good. That was interesting. So I did this thing, and I recognize obviously now that it was very unusual to just say, I don't want to do. And they went, "Oh, you put the script down." They all put the script down. I went, "Go on then." And I did this little piece. It wasn't really long. It was a couple of minutes. Um, but it was, I guess, it was individually creative, and for me, it was really fun, and it did get me the job.
Hmm.
Um, And I did that because I was completely ignorant. And sometimes I've tried to go in and just please the people, please them, and hit every note that I think they want, rather than hang on, what do I think what do I want to bring to this character? And then can I show it? Because often if you show an idea, people go, that's really interesting. If you try and
Mm,
explain the idea, people go, oh, I'm not sure about that. That sounds a bit weird.
hmm.
So often I think show, don't tell. And I'm doing it right now. I'm starting a new job and I'm constructing a character. And I was playing with it last night and thinking, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. That would be way too much. But I'm gonna show not tell, and I'm gonna wait for
Yeah.
someone to say, I'm gonna wait for someone to say, can you not do that? Because it's fun for me, and I've
Mm.
learned if it's fun for me, generally people go, oh, let's do more of that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
you could
making like when I did
definitely.
Warrior, I made him Northern Irish, and I just thought all these Americans are going to say, "Can you use an accent we can understand, or can you not do that?" And then in the end, they were like, "No, could you do more of
Yeah.
that?" And I was like, "Oh my God, thank you, yes."
Yeah, definitely. I feel like if you are present, it's kind of like how you said earlier
Yeah,
with the dogs when you were talking to the dog trainers. A dog can tell when you're feeling a
yeah,
certain emotion, and I feel like that's very you can
yeah,
feel that with people as well. If you're having fun,
yeah,
people will often
yeah.
reflect that and mimic that back to you.
And at the end of the day, people want, when you're thinking about being nervous, like people want you to be a solution. They want you to be good.
Mhm.
They don't want you
Mhm.
to not get the job. They want you to come in and be a solution. So often before going in, um, there was a there was a brilliant voice teacher, an actor called Greg DePolner that we had at Lambda. And he had this thing where he said, before you go on stage, before you go into an audition, just have a quiet moment and think to yourself, um, um, I have a secret. Somebody loves me and I am beautiful. I think those are the three that he said. Um, and I often stand up stage and think, I've got a secret. Think of someone who loves you and I'm beautiful. Think of something. Those are kind thoughts. Those are thoughts that
Mhm.
imbue you with an inner life and actually
Mhm.
bring you away from very frightened, reaching feelings and thoughts that might be kind of lacking or that sort of edge of nervousness.
Mm.
Being standing on stage is a very empowering thing. Watching a person just breathing and standing and actually existing on people talk about aura a lot now. Like this
Yeah.
is the thing where people are like, oh, sportsman or people, he's giving aura and all this sort of thing. And I'm like, I think it's in a it might maybe it's not, but to me it's like in a life. Like watching somebody who's
Mhm.
really alive, like Emma in the show. I feel like Emma
Mm.
has like layers of depth, and Matt always has. Matt's always had this
Mm.
like almost like violent swag. He's so brilliant for Damon, but like I mean, he
Mhm.
carries it on every job he has.
Mm.
The best people I find when you watch them they have so many other things going on that you watch them and you sort of you want to investigate them more and say, I want to know about that thing that I think they're thinking. And we don't even know why. We feel it as human beings. You think, why are some people more magnetic than others in that moment? And that's a skill, that's something as an actor you can learn.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes people just have it.
Definitely, for sure. And so I kind of want to wrap this up by asking you, this is kind of just more for myself as well, actually.
Okay.
We have one episode left of the
Yeah.
season, and I'm very excited, also very sad I don't want it to end, but
Yeah.
maybe without any spoilers or anything like that, I won't prod you too much, but if you could describe the finale in one word or phrase, what would you say?
Oh, I'm I'm trying to think of one really good word, and it's very, very hard to encapsulate everything.
Well, when I asked Max this, who plays
Yeah.
Sir Laurent, he gave me like four. I'll take as many as you need.
No, I know. I mean, because in one way um it is exhilarating, and in another way it is frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to think of the right word. It is like expanding.
Mm.
And I would say like, oh my God, exhilarating and devastating and everything seems like it's not enough. I can't think of an expletive that's strong enough, and I can't think of something that encapsulates everything.
It's just that epic. It can't be put into
Well,
one
look, let me
word.
put it this way: like we are also gutted that there's only one episode left
hmm
of this season.
hmm
We are also extremely excited about season 4,
hmm
and it can't come soon enough. Like I can't tell you how much we all want to be back together, just like getting on with it. Like because I think what happens in episode 8 is it's so explosive. It's so good. Like it's so mad being part of this show. I watch it with all the excitement that everybody else does. And my
hmm
wife normally says every time it's like da, 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 da. Normally when we're sitting down to watch it, my wife will say, "It's so mad you're in this show. I can't believe you're in this show." You know? It's, I mean, I feel like that every time the HBO thing comes on, like
Yeah.
that.
Uh-huh.
Um, it's an absolute dream come true
hmm
to be part of it. And episode 8 is explosive. Explosive. I suppose explosive is a good word because it means there's fallout
hmm
and there's an aftermath from an explosion.
hmm Well, I am very excited, and I feel like if the episode that I watched last night, if episode 7 is setting any tone for episode 8, I am terrified, but I'm
Can I
very
just say, how
excited
good
for
is
the
Tom
episode.
Bennett? How good was Tom in
Oh,
that episode?
incredible.
But
So
I look,
incredible.
I've really enjoyed having a ringside seat watching Ulf's revelation
hmm
because I've been there from the beginning,
hmm
like the
hmm
very beginning. Um, and I texted Tom immediately last night when I watched the show, and I said, "I'm so excited. I'm so excited by what he's done and the detail and it's funny when all the shows that I love on HBO, for instance, like Sopranos and Deadwood, that I've rewatched them so many times and watched the actors and watched the stories. And I always see something new. I always do in the performances. Even when you think you know it, you watch it again, and think, oh, maybe I've misremembered that.
hmm
But you see little things, and those little things that the actors either subtext, what they show the camera, what they don't show the camera, the props they fiddle with,
hmm
the choices they make, they're not accidents. You
hmm
know, people look re some my favorite things is people that look like they're just existing in a world and the camera happens to find them.
hmm
You don't get to see, you only get to see the bits of Hugh that the camera chooses to show you. You don't get to see him on his own going to the
hmm
toilet or like contemplating that his wife's not there and he's sad or ranting with people about how he doesn't like, you know, revealing truths. That's the thing they say a lot about duologues and stuff in shows. Duologues scenes between two characters are good because some people don't often reveal truths in groups or in
hmm
threes. They'll do it
hmm
in twos,
hmm
or they'll do it in a confessional way if you're lucky enough for a character to have an inner dialogue or a soliloquy or something like that. But in duologues, they might. But often, if the person is in a setting, particularly when they're in front of the king and the queen, do you think they're always telling the truth? And it's like, that's amazing because, like, you think you know a person, you're like, I don't know that person at all.
hmm And I think that is the most incredible thing about this show that you can really tell when you watch it. Every single character has so much excitement and so much passion that they
Yeah,
bring to
yeah,
the screen.
yeah,
And I can only imagine what it must be like to, as you said, all the takes that don't make it, all the
yeah.
things we don't get to see. I bet there is so much just energy on these sets, and I think that is what makes it so incredible. So
Thank you.
I'm
Yeah.
very, very excited to see episode 8. Very excited.
Yeah, me too. And yeah, we sometimes get them early as screeners, because of course we're doing press.
hmm
And we watched episode 7 last night. And my wife said, "Are you going to get a screen for 8?" And I said, "I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I've got some press to do this week, but I don't know." But to be honest, I don't really want to watch it. I don't want to
Mm,
watch it on a small device. I don't really want to watch it on a laptop
mm,
um, or in a setting. You know something? When we went to the premiere for the opening of season three, and just to be clear, like that episode one of season three is really episode nine of season two.
Hmm. Hmm.
And in a 10 episode arc, episode nine is always the one where the big stuff happens, and then episode 10 finishes the season and sets up the next. There's a rhythm to these things. And of
Hmm.
course that got shunted along because of administrative stuff above everybody else's pay grade.
Hmm.
So knowing that we were going to watch in the premiere this incredibly, the Battle of the Gullet, this huge episode that my friend had directed, that everyone had poured all this work into on a massive screen in the
Hmm.
cinema that I watched Star Wars in and Lord of the Rings in. I went to watch Lord of the Rings at 1 o'clock in the morning in this cinema with a full group of people who all cheered when things happened in the movie. Well, we got to watch our episode with people cheering and all
Hmm.
gasping when certain things in the episode happened. And I said when we were in there, this is how we should watch the show every week.
Hmm.
And look, everyone pays a subscription model. There's more subscription models now than ever. But personally, I would pay 10 quid to sit in an audience of a cinema with a group of people who want to watch the show together, to have the collective human experience of
Hmm.
watching a show and feeling everyone receive those shocks and everything at the same time. I would do it, and I'm in the show. And I think hopefully someone out there can take an initiative and set that
Hmm.
up because I'll come.
I'll be there
I'll
as well.
I'll come along and I'll do a Q&A if people want to talk to us, like as people who are in these shows, I would happily come along and talk to people
Mm.
because so much work goes into it. And it's not just us actors, like the crews. I can't tell you. It's so good to go to work and watch everybody doing their job. And I know AI is coming. I really, really hope that it's beneficial to people. But when you go to work and you see people doing their job and doing it well, I like I understand actors that say they don't like to watch themselves, but I like to see the stuff because it's not just about us. And
Mhm.
this is such a circus.
Mhm. I think I completely agree, and especially when a show, as I mentioned, you can just feel the passion through the screen. And when a show this big and this epic doesn't do it justice just watching it on a
Yeah.
little laptop. I feel
Yeah.
like to have that, I mean, even I know because I've watched the entire show and all of Game of Thrones with my
Yeah.
boyfriend, and even just us two, when we
Yeah.
watch it, it's like being able to feel each other's reactions. So yeah,
Mhm.
I agree. I feel like something these
Yeah.
things are so special, and it also the community that it makes is so
Yeah.
special.
It is, and like I said, the only understandably people would be reluctant to pay when they've already paid. This is not me pitching like a thought through business model. I just mean the collective experience, like getting together to watch an England final or getting to,
Mm.
people do it on the big finales of shows.
Mhm.
Honestly, I'd do it every week
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's not that much fun for me watching it on my own for press. I can have my
Mm.
own reactions and things, but human beings need to be with human beings. We've got enough technology and reasons for us all to be isolated. I think people talk about cinema dying or the declining. We've got loads of reasons to sit together and enjoy collective experiences, and I think the more of those we have, the better. And
Mhm.
this is what this is for. Like we should do it.
I think that's an incredible idea, and I feel like someone needs to hopefully watch this and put that into
Well,
into
maybe.
motion.
The other thing I'd say as well, like we were talking about, you were saying advice about getting the industry and talking about watching things,
Mm.
is I've probably learned more about my own acting since the self-tape thing came in because we audition and you do have to watch so many tapes. You do have to watch yourself. And I'd
Mm.
say just people say, oh, I don't like watching myself. I don't like hearing my voice on a, thing. You've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable
Mm.
and scrutinize it in a healthy way. you know. Scrutinize your stuff in a healthy
Mhm.
way. You know, can you
Mhm.
hide from you? Can you see yourself acting or can you see yourself lying or can you hide? There are some takes I do, and one take I think, God, I'm really acting there, I'm really performing. And the next take I think, okay, that looks like a person who's breathing and living and existing and not planning.
Hmm.
Look, I haven't planned that. And almost one take to the next, I couldn't necessarily tell you what the difference is. It's a breath before the take. It's a note that maybe my wife gave me, or I don't know what. And it's
Mm.
still finding that and looking for it. But get comfortable being uncomfortable watching yourself because you will learn a lot about the craft by watching.
Mm.
And just know everybody feels uncomfortable and everybody feels nervous. It's totally normal. Don't try and fight that. Just keep going.
Mm.
Just keep going.
And I think in a world, kind of as you mentioned this before earlier, we've become as a society very dependent on social media, and
Mm,
we have technologies, and as you said, these are all things that isolate us.
yeah,
And I also think these are all things that make us much more self-critical, as you mentioned, oh, I don't have enough followers to, or whatever.
yeah,
And so I feel like being able to ground yourself and focus on your own performance, the advice that you've given, I feel like people will really resonate with that because
right.
I think we very much need that in the society that we're in for sure.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and again, I think it's like healthy connection. There's a difference
Mm.
between just any kind of connection and being around human beings. Being around human beings is a restorative thing.
Hmm.
For whatever reason, um, I had an accident 10 years ago. I broke my back, and so I have a metal spine.
Wow.
Part of my spine is metal, and part of the recovery from that, the trauma from the accident that I had, um, is I was advised to do singing and sound baths and things, and I went past this. There was a sign outside this church and it said a choir was singing and it was a sound bath. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, isn't it? That they say that this is a sound bath. And I've been getting this very practical, technical advice about treatments for this injury. And then I realized human beings singing with each other and being with each other and the vibration between us is a healing thing.
Mm.
It
Hmm.
it it doesn't necessarily always be, it's not necessarily always a cerebral thing. It's just getting a hug from somebody that loves you for 20 seconds does something physically to us.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
is restorative. And that's what we're supposed to try and bring to the job. Well, in the process of doing it, you're gonna need a hug. You're gonna need a hug from someone. You're gonna need to have a human connection. Like Jack Nicholson used to say, you know what, you got to go and live your life to be able to bring it to the work. Well,
Mm.
you've got to be with human beings and you've got to work out how to restore yourself. So breathe and bring it back to the work and stay healthy.
And do
Yeah.
yoga.
And do yoga. And do yoga. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, look after each other. I mean, it's a human thing. We're lucky. We're storytellers, and make it about that, not the pollution around the job. The followers and this and that and the chatter. It can get really distracting,
Hmm.
and it gets you into a place that's very flighty, very ungrounded, very fearful. That's also very human too, and useful for your characters. One of my old acting teachers said to me, I was 18, we walk along the road towards rehearsal, and she said about, bringing your human life. She said, you realize your whole life you're just farming it for experiences to bring back into the work. And they're like, yeah. When things have happened to me in my life that are really bad, I've often had a little chuckle and been like, oh, well, it'll be useful for work. And I've
Yeah.
had enough now. I've had enough now experiences. I don't want to have any more. But it's being human. That's it. It's being human.
Mm.
That's the reality.
Mm.
Anyway,
Well, I think people are really gonna resonate with everything you've said, and I feel like we've had an incredible chat. It's been absolutely such a pleasure to speak with you today. And as I've said, I just cannot wait to see episode 8. And thank you for all the incredible advice that you've provided us all with today. It's been an absolute
pleasure.
pleasure.
Yeah,
Mhm.
thank you. Thanks for asking me.
Thank you very much. And thank you everyone at home that was watching. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I will see you all next time. Thank you so much. It's honestly been such a pleasure to chat with you today.
No, it's a pleasure, and like it's really nice to be asked, if there's any advice
Mm.
because you don't, it is quite a long time. I'm reading now more than ever. I'm learning
Mm.
these fight sequences at the moment. I've got like sword and shield. I'm doing all this like amazing stuff. and I'm 46 next month, and I'm like, oh wow, I'm a little bit achy. I've been doing this a long time now, and there are a lot of hard lessons there.
Mhm. And so the more that you can share that, the better. I feel like we could have sat here and talked about this all day, to be honest. I feel like I could pick your brains
Yeah.
for hours.
Well, I think, but that's what I said to you at the beginning. There's a way of being succinct because actually you can just kind of go off into anecdote after anecdote because that's what it's like, and it's quite
Mm,
exciting as well. And you think,
mhm,
how can I help this young person? Because people do ask you, how can I help them in a way that is efficient? You know,
mhm,
Bill Nye,
mhm.
what did Bill Nye say to me? Um, Learn your lines and save your tax money. I should have said that, you know.
We can pop that in there somewhere.
I think Anthony Hopkins said to me something like, this isn't for wimps, this is hard.
Yeah.
Learn your
Mhm.
lines and know that it's hard, Kieran. And and I'm just going, oh my God, it's Anthony Hopkins.
And I feel like this is the beautiful thing about us being able to sit and chat about stuff because you've had a million of your own experiences and you've been able to meet with people who have also had a million of their own experiences. So there's so much that you can put out there and so much about. Like my friend who I mentioned is trying to break into the acting industry. She has been for years. And this is one of the interviews that I'm going to say, Jasmine, go and watch this
Yeah,
interview because I feel like we've had a lot of really incredible
yeah,
advice and relatable
yeah.
advice as well.
But it's funny because you see that there's probably nothing in there that's like, go to this place and do this thing for that person.
Mm,
There's no like real roadmap because
no.
because there are a million different ways in. I did a film years ago with Kelly MacDonald, when
Hmm.
where I was about 21. And Kelly had been in Train Spotting and was super famous, and I couldn't believe I was working with Kelly. And she was saying, "Oh my God," because I used reading Shakespeare and talking about all the stuff that I'd learned at drama school. And Kelly was like, "I feel really bad that I didn't go to drama school, and I feel like I've got a big gap in my education." And you know, she's got a few Emmys now. You know, we did a
Things
film
work
again.
out.
We did
Yeah.
a film again a couple of years later, and I said, "Do you remember saying that to me in a trailer when we were like in our 20s?" And he said, "No." I said, "Oh, what a load of shit." But she was just sharing her vulnerability, and I've come across that a lot. But I would say to people, if they're thinking about going to drama school, go, 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 get, because it's such a well-rounded education. There isn't a day where I don't use something I learned at drama school,
Mm,
and there are bursaries, there are things you can do to pay the fees or stay in there or do it, but it is absolutely, or at least it was when I was there. Things have changed a bit, but I would just say educate yourself, do
mhm,
push yourself, and you shouldn't
mhm,
ever stop. You should eat culture every day. You should read, learn something, play guitar. That's the other thing I normally say is do something every day that's creative, because
mm,
otherwise
mhm.
you will start feeling probably pretty bad. If you wait for someone in a suit to let you
Ted.
be an artist,
Mhm.
you are going to feel really bad. So yeah.
100%.
Anyway, I could talk to you all day.
I know I could honestly we could be here till 10 o'clock tonight, honestly. I feel like I could pick your brains for hours. And I feel like even some of the stuff that you've said there, I'm gonna say to Gareth who edits all this, try and slot that in somewhere when we post it because I just feel like we could sit here
Yeah,
and chat all day.
you can do that. I don't mind. You can just share it. It's just a conversation. And the thing is that like,
Mhm,
um, I don't know. Don't know. You don't always know what's going to be helpful for people. You know,
mhm,
for instance, as an actor, you're going to have a B and a C job. If your A job is being an actor, you're going to need to dog walk or be a nanny or something. And there's a reality to that because those are the things that are going to keep you available for the auditions and the jobs. If you get a permanent job, it's sort of that's the issue. You're like, oh my God, how do I pay for stuff but also stay sane?
mhm.
Like it's hard. And I worked in bars and building sites for the first part. And what that meant was back then, I earned cash in hand money and then I worked in bars and I ended up working late and then drinking with people late, which is not necessarily the best thing for when you go to audition the next day. And I kind of ground myself into the ground a bit. And
Mm,
I had a good time in my 20s, but I stopped drinking when I was about 28,
mm, mhm,
because it wasn't good for me. It wasn't working. And I didn't know if that was allowed, or like at the time it was kind of part of the culture and everything. But
Mm.
I'm better off without it. And wouldn't ever say to people, in their 20s, don't drink, don't have a good it's like saying to someone, don't have a good time. But for me, it didn't work. It doesn't agree with me, and I needed to stop. And it was
Mm.
hard to stop, and I did stop. And then a friend of mine said, "What's it like?" And I said, "It's almost like getting two for one on your days because you don't have the hangover in the morning, and
Yeah.
and you don't have the stuff that you forget in the evening, so you actually get more time."
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, Bill's advice is hilarious. Learn your lines and save your tax money.
And I think, I mean, even what you've just said, I mean, I think I'm 21 and I think I must be the most boring 21-year-old because I agree completely with everything you just said. I would much rather be in bed or like out still with people, but I feel
Yeah.
like drinking culture, especially, I feel like I've just finished university and
Mm.
it was like, okay, we're gonna go out now, but we're gonna go out. We're not gonna go out till 10 o'clock at night, and then we're not gonna get back in till 6 a.m. And I'm like, but then where does my Sunday go?
Yeah.
What do I do with my Sunday?
Yeah. And I think for a lot of people, that's okay. That's what they want to do,
Mm.
and that's what they're doing. Of course it is.
Hmm.
I think for anybody who's out there who's thinking that like they can't and they can't live without it, or if you stop, you're going to lose something.
Mm.
Um, it's fine. Like, of course you can. You're gonna get
Mm.
you're gonna get more out of your life if it's not helping you, and it certainly wasn't helping me. Um, but it did feel like devastating to sort of stop at the time, which is insane. Um,
Mm.
But then again, all my idols, when I grew up, all my idols were like crazy rock star drinking
Yeah.
kind of people, and there was a certain myth around it. And I really smashed that myth because, do you know, if I was, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now if I was still doing that. Because there's no way I could
Mm.
have sustained what I'm doing
Hmm.
for me, and that's me.
Yeah.
When I stopped, a mate of mine did say, "Oh, some people just can't handle it," and I went, "Yeah, that's
Mm.
me. Can't do it anymore." I've done it enough. It's fine. I've done it.
Yeah.
I want to do more with my life. I want to
Yeah.
learn to surf and I want to, ride motorbikes and I want to fight and I want to work for HBO.
Mm. Hmm.
And I honestly, I remember when I was stopping thinking, I really just want to try and stay being an actor and hopefully pay the bills from acting and dream and think, I want to work for HBO. So every time that HBO thing comes on, I think, I cannot believe I'm working for HBO.
Mm.
Like, but it wasn't an accident.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
again, as Bill said, this is another thing Bill Nye said to me, like you got to stack the dice. He said we kind of live like gamblers, but you've got to kind of stack the dice. You've got to look after yourself. Look after yourself. He's like, it's apparently it's not cool to look after yourself. He said, Kieran, he said to me, looking after yourself is pretty punk. It's pretty out there. It's pretty like, said, if you take care of
And
yourself, that's pretty rock and
yeah.
roll, right?
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna take care
Yeah.
of yourself so you can do all this cool shit. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah. Me and Tom Bennett sit on set a lot, and we're sitting there like that, both of us dads, like sitting there going with cups of tea, going, "Have you got a dragon?" Oh, yeah, I've got a dragon. Yeah, I've got a dragon, and there's a silly smugness about it. It's not smug.
Mm.
It's 100% gratitude and
Hmm.
enjoying it for what it is. And
Mm.
we say thank you a lot because it's
And
because it's fun.
yeah, definitely. And like you said, just every time seeing that HBO sign pop up when you watch the next episode must be the most rewarding thing ever. And that all your hard work and your perseverance, as you said earlier, paid off. So
It,
it's just
it is.
incredible.
It is, and again, I get to have the experience of being as excited as anybody else about Ulf's turn.
Hmm. Oh,
And
it
yeah,
was so unreal
but
to
I also
watch.
get to call him up afterwards and go, "Oh my God, that was so good."
Ah.
Like so yeah.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm so excited for the next episode. It was the most incredible thing to watch. I
Yeah.
watched it last night and I instantly texted my boyfriend and I was like, "Have you watched it yet? Watch it right now." I was like,
Yeah,
"Get it
yeah.
on right now. Watch it right
Mm.
now."
It was very good. Egon, I love Tom Goncani. I love the lads so much. I really enjoyed Egon's journey through this sort of like with Nail and I thing with Matthew and Jefferson. Like those guys
Mm,
together was such a
mhm,
dream. It was so good to listen to them in the read-throughs as well. They're so funny.
mm,
Because these are other parts of the like I've known Jefferson for a long, long time. I've known a lot of the cast, like Tommy Flanagan and Abu, and like I've known loads of the people in the show for ages, and you get to watch them, and they surprise you, and
mm,
just get to enjoy it in the I suppose the best possible way. Um, I
mm.
can't wait to see who joins the show for season four. Like, we never know who's going to walk in the door because they don't tell us
Yeah,
until we do the read through. And it's like,
yeah,
oh my
yeah.
God, hey man, how are you? Like, I'm seeing friends. It's like, oh, like Tom Cullen. Like, Tom Cullen came and played Rhaenyra's, Luther Largent. Tom is a phenomenal actor who has his
Mm,
own show often. And he
mm,
came and was part of our show for this small time. Um, or Barry, who Egon.
mhm,
Stabbed in the chin last night. Like these guys are phenomenal actors who just come in and join the cast for a bit. And yeah, very lucky,
mhm,
very
mhm.
lucky.
Yeah, I can't imagine how incredible and surreal it must be. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure to chat with you,
Easy.
honestly. It's
Yeah,
yeah, made my day, made my entire
it's a
career
pleasure.
actually.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go because I'm preparing my next thing, so I've
Yeah,
got to
don't worry,
go
I
and do
won't
some.
take up any more of your
No,
time.
no, it's all right. I've got to go and do some fighting, and
Well, enjoy.
yeah,
And yeah, looking forward to episode 8. But thank you again for your time. And it's
pleasure,
been
no
lovely
problem.
to meet you.
You too,
Thank
you
you
too.
very much.
Well done. Keep
See you
going. See
later.
ya. Bye.
Bye.